So there's been a worrying rise in coronavirus cases today in New South Wales. 16 new infections, 4 of which are under investigation. In response, new restrictions come into effect from 4 o'clock this afternoon, and they are: visitors to households will be limited to 5 guests, including children. Masks will be compulsory in all indoor non-residential settings, including workplaces and at organised outdoor events. Drinking while standing at indoor venues will not be allowed. Singing won't be permitted at indoor shows or places of worship. Dancing will also be banned at hospitality venues and nightclubs, but can continue at weddings for bridal parties only. The 1 person per 4 square metre rule will be reintroduced for all indoor and outdoor settings, including weddings and funerals. Outdoor seated events will be limited to 50% capacity. Previous public transport capacity limits, represented by green dots, will be reintroduced, and people in the City of Sydney, Waverley, Randwick, Canada Bay, Inner West, Bayside and Woollahra council areas cannot travel outside metropolitan Sydney for non-essential travel. And these restrictions will be in place for at least a week. Let's get more detail now from our reporter in Sydney, Amy Greenbank. Hi there, Amy. This is not the news, of course, we wanted to hear. Take us through these latest cases.
Hi, Ros. No, it's not. In fact, it is a significant surge in locally acquired COVID cases. 16 new cases have been announced today. Up until now, most of them were concentrated in the southeast corner of Sydney. Now it looks like one of the most concerning instances was a birthday party in West Hoxton. Now, this particular event had 30 people attending. 1 person was a worker from Bondi Junction, and it's believed that is how coronavirus has spread there. An extra 8 cases today have been linked to this particular birthday party, including a child who attends a childcare centre at Narellan Vale, Little Zats. So this is of concern. The health authorities are calling this a super spreading event. There are 4 other cases where authorities are still trying to figure out what the original source is. They're looking into that. They do say those individuals either live or work in the southeast corner of Sydney. Now, as for the other child involved, the 9-year-old schoolgirl that was announced yesterday, who went to an eastern suburbs school, authorities are still working to try and track down her initial source of infection as well.
We've moved from having our cases all in isolation to unlinked cases. So in relation to the 9-year-old child, to date, we have not identified a source, but testing is underway, so it's not the usual source that could have been a household contact at this stage. All the other household members have tested negative, so our investigations into that case are continuing.
So, Amy, restrictions are being ramped up in 7 affected areas in Sydney, but no actual lockdown has been announced.
No lockdown, Ros, but for those local government areas, it's fairly close to it, with those travel restrictions put in place from 4 p.m. today. We'll get to those in a moment, but first, plenty of restrictions back for Greater Sydney. Masks are back for all indoor gatherings, including in the workplace. Those green dots on public transport will be back as well. You will have to be distancing from other commuters. Now, we also have other restrictions, including no more than 5 people will now be allowed in your house. That includes children. There's going to be no mingling when you're at the pub or at indoor venues. Singing is once again banned at places of worship, at churches. The 4 square metre rule is back as well. Any outdoor event will be capped at 50% capacity. And of course, for those living in those 7 LGAs, which include the City of Sydney, Waverley, Randwick, Canada Bay, the Inner West, Bayside, along with Woollahra, you cannot travel outside metropolitan Sydney. And if you work in those areas, that also applies for you. Now, this is a sort of an imposed restriction by the Premier. She says, of course, it is flexible in the sense of if you do need to travel for essential reasons, you can do so. But she says, please exercise common sense.
We don't want people moving around unless it's essential, but obviously we are advocating at the same time you can attend hospitality venues, you can do all those things you have in place, But these rules, these stringent rules will be in place to make sure we prevent the spread of the virus. And as I said, on this occasion, our contact tracing has been better than I've ever seen. But what we haven't seen before is the contagiousness of this variant of the virus. It is extremely contagious, and the fleeting exchanges, not even physical touching, has meant people have transferred the virus.
And Ros, the language is now strengthening around this outbreak as well. The Health Minister, Brad Hazzard, calling it a very real and present danger, and calling on residents who might have become fatigued with COVID outbreaks to not become complacent.
Amy, thank you.